We are live for our 26th Investors AMA with Gladiator Finance here at the TulipDAO. I'd like to say welcome to the team. We got quite a few people on stage. We have Coma, It's a JPEG, we got DeFi Decoded, Life Eternal, we got another team in the stage or in the audience. It's lit, fam. So if you could, everybody, introduce yourself and kind of just let us know what you do for the team, if you could, please.
Okay, thank you, Farmer, for having us. You know me since October last year. My background is in finance, data analytics, IT development. And since last year, I am doing DeFi full-time. And this is my newborn baby, Gladiator Finance, that I did together with JPEG and Crypto Guy for the past many months, too many to count. And Life joined recently our team, and he's a great asset. So let's go ahead, guys, and everyone introduce yourself. I think we should start with Crypto as the lead dev.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Koma. Yes, I'm responsible in the team for the developments. My background is basically IT security, and I've been doing IT development in the last nearly 20 years. And in the last 6 to 7 years, I'm engaged with crypto. We've got a great team, I think, and I do my best to make Gladiator Finance an outstanding project from the technological point of view. Thank you. I pass it to, let's say, JPEG.
Hello there. I'm JPEG, aka Kuba. I'm the community manager for the marketing part. I'm responsible. My background was most of my life food and beverage, and through that I slipped into marketing for a big German herbal liquor, where I was responsible for brand building in Austria and being a brand ambassador. So this is what I bring to the table, making the marketing side of Gladiator Finance. Thank you. Live.
Yes, thank you, guys. So I'm Life. I've been involved with a few projects throughout the DeFi space here. My background is more in traditional finance, and I was brought on the team to handle the tokenomics. Basically, the inner workings of it is I think it up, and we work through how that should play with the math, and then we ship it over to Decoded to take the ideas and make them a reality. Thank you for having us.
I'm curious, Life, can you give me some more insight into your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been involved in a couple big businesses. One of them I will actually bring out and let people know is I used to work for Dish, a satellite company. I coordinated the major projects for in the satellite development between the actual people who coded for the satellites, and through that became a lot of bandwidth management and things like that. So I'm very good at finding numbers and how they should work together. My background personally is more in traditional finance, and at this point I've been able to basically semi-retire to a point to where I only have to do things in the DeFi space now.
So traditional finance background.
Yeah, stocks, things like that, bonds, metal investments.
How many years? I'm just curious.
About 12.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Gladiator DeFi, everybody who doesn't know, is going to be a tomb fork, essentially, with some modifications. And then they're building some sort of wolf game modification on top of that. So where we had hamsters on Phantom, now we have Gladiator on Avalanche. Are you all familiar with hamsters? Hamster money?
Are you asking us?
Yes, I'm asking you, yes.
We are familiar with it, and on this note, I would like to add that we haven't forked the contract of any Tomb fork or Tomb itself. We have developed our own mechanics. However, this
So all your contracts are custom. Nothing was forked
crypto
and
is your
modified.
territory. Crypto is your territory.
Yes, I was just having trouble with the unmute. Of course, for example, for the Genesis pools, we'll use basically unmodified code from other projects, because that part, of course, is very important to have the most trust from the community. So on that part, we are using tested code while reinvent the wheel. Regarding the inner mechanisms, it's most of it is nowhere. Yes, of course, we are building on part of codes and rework some kind of codes with regard to Wolfgram. Of course, we have some parts regarding maintaining TWAP and calculating epochs. But how we connect them is completely nowhere. Yes.
Right. So yeah, it's as I expected. Parts of the code is forked, and then the parts that you guys customize is customized. So yeah, good. That's cool. So are you guys familiar with Hamster.money? That was my question.
I've been involved. I'm not sure the others have heard of it.
I shilled in it for the product.
You did what?
I shilled a lot in
shilled?
Hamster for us, yes. Yeah, we know it. We're familiar with it.
Okay. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking because as project leaders making something very similar, right? You should have been researching this stuff or known about it, and I'm happy that you do. That's all I'm asking.
I've been involved and also tried out their other products, such as the Hamster Casino. Crypto, we did that together. So yeah, we are familiar with their contracts as well.
I'm providing no sentiment here. I'm not saying that I think that they had the most amazing tech or anything like that. Some of the stuff was very well built. They had a great development team, but I think they're kind of misguided with the execution and overall design. Their priorities were on things that weren't really going to benefit them where they needed it, right? And we saw that breakdown over the long term. They survived a long time. They did really well for a long time. I know everybody made a lot of fucking money to the point where nobody really gave a fuck when it went to zero. So, like, this is how these games work, right? This is how Tomb Forks. I mean, we're doubling down on the Ponzi here. Like, Tomb Fork plus Wolf Game, So it's like, if you can create sustainability within the ecosystem, it's like, how long can you prop it up? A lot of people can make a lot of money, and it's a lot of fun, right? So, the question that I would have for you guys past the initial Tomb Fork, well, I guess before we get into too much advanced conversation, let's let you guys introduce at an overview of the project for me. And if you could, just make sure you shed light on whatever is unique about these forks, please.
Okay, so in a very general point of view, as you also mentioned, we have been inspired by some mechanics of Tomb and also some mechanics of Wolf Game. From the Wolf Game, we take the NFT risk protocol with a tiny bit of randomness and steal mechanisms on an advanced and secure scale. And we also take the peg and share token from the Tomb. Top of and how we combine that is basically we launch our peg token with Genesis, just like any Tomb fork does, and then the share token via the NFT collection. And after these two finish, then the true fun begins with how the NFTs can be staked for certain tokens, or how the liquidity providing works, and all the fun mechanics after that. And I think for this I'm handing the word to life he can go into a much non-technical detail. What I would do.
Appreciate it. So yes, it is very similar. When we say it is based off Tomb and Wolfgame, we do this so investors can get a sense of, to grasp it, sort of deal. Whereas, as you said, we do have some forked code, but it has been built anew. One of the major things that has taken away so much from the traditional Ponzi-nomics of it is the way we are building out after the genesis happens. I've worked with Coma and Decoded to go through this, and we have a very unique expansionary system. I don't want to share too much, as this is kind of, you don't want to give away the keys to the kingdom, but to give the general idea of this is to have the expansion be able to be varied. So that way we never overextend the supply. So we don't become inflationary at a moment's notice. This is the biggest, weakest that we have seen in Tomb Forks.
Is this for the quote unquote boardroom?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me just tell you, you are not the first to have dynamic boardroom emissions. Hasn't solved much in the past, but go on. I don't want to interrupt too much. Well, I'll ask after you're done.
Thank you. So no, I'm not saying that nobody has ever done anything like this. I'm just saying that the way we go about it, I do believe is unique. There's multiple ways that people can do this. But essentially that we have a modifier in there that keeps an eye out on our basically our peg, the TWAP of it. And so that way that can be adjusted to ensure, like I said, a non-inflationary moment in there. So we don't overextend the supply. Another one is
automated?
Yes, it is in the smart contract.
So that's completely automated then. That's unique to me. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, we don't have to manage that at all, and it is being coded as such that way users don't have to feel a level of trust that this will happen. It will just happen. Okay. I felt that this was the only way to have it good, and it's taken some good work with Decoded. He's had a good bit of work to make this a reality. Yeah, another thing that is unique is the underpeg mechanic. This one is essentially, instead of bonds, we use NFTs to help continue on the wolf game sort of deal, and have those mechanics come back to it as well. There will also be other utilities that will be released as well, which help us basically deflate the peg supply. So that way we can have a long-term, truly use case scenario to our peg token. Because what's the biggest problem that we see with Tomb Forks, right? We see that, some people ape in the shares, let everybody else support the peg. They acquire a huge amount of the peg supply token, and then they decide they're done, they dump it, they're out, and you see a massive underpeg and people panic and do a bank run and it's done, sort of deal. So there'll be multiple ways that this is looped back.
Yeah, I understand. I have to be the realist here. We've seen everything at this point with Tomb Forks, and ultimately what it comes down to is being able to provide sustainable buy pressure. And that's just the bottom line. If you can't do it, you slowly just bleed out, and depending on the strength of your community, sometimes you bleed slower, you bleed faster. I think that it takes a really well thought out plan and a lot of different mechanisms put together to, really have a solution and to mitigate all of the inherent problems of the Tomb Fork,
You are 100% correct on this. And I think I think this is where life was leading. So we have already developed token burning mechanisms that we also provided to other protocols so we can test it out. Maybe some of you have heard of the King of the Colosseum game on Avalanche. We are behind that. That's one of the burning mechanisms that we will implement. We have also come up with 4 more mechanics that we are going to develop through the time of August and September. And these burning mechanisms are designed in a way to increase the buy pressure, the utility, while providing entertainment and possibility to earn a lot of return on their capital for the investor.
Let me rewind you. How does that create buy pressure? Doesn't it just decrease? Doesn't that just decrease the supply?
Not necessarily. You can Excel it out or calculate it out. Much token you need to have the most chances, and in most scenarios, people.
Oh, so utilizing the token for their gambling game or something.
Not necessarily gambling. We will also planning including that, but the mechanics that we have come up with include no random numbers.
So what is it?
Let me link one in the chat.
Is it a game?
Kind of. Crypto, you want to explain it from a technical point of view what it is? And
from a technical point of view, we are talking about COTS, right, Koma? King of Colosseum.
Yes.
Trying to figure out. He was just okay. So it was stated that your guys' token is being used in this game, and it was being burned. And I was just wondering how buy pressure is being created from this.
Yes. Let me explain. King of the Colosseum is basically this is one of the games that we are planning. We have a PvP game coming with the NFTs, but this is the first. King of the Colosseum is basically a pot game where you basically race with others for a pot of money, and whoever has the perfect conditions can win that money. Basically, we are selling money for money in a FOMO kind of way in cuts. If Koma links the page, then I think that would be the best. I cannot explain it a lot better.
So okay, I'm on the site.
But
now.
There will be incentive. There will be incentive for people to buy and try to win these pots.
So it's basically like you choose a team and based on how much liquidity is staked or something, you can win the pool.
Basically, it's it's just like that. There's a pool of money, a pot. You can buy a ticket, and if no one buys a ticket in a certain amount of time, and then some other conditions are appropriate, then you win the pot. That's it. And this can be very addictive.
Depending on what token you purchase your ticket with, depends on. That's how you choose your team or whatever.
No, not necessarily. So let's say that there is from the treasury we offer 1,000 USDC as a pot. It has happened, and then we say that each ticket price costs 0.1% of the pot, right? So everyone who joins has a chance to 1,000x their ticket, and we have developed many ways how the money can flow, but bottom line is that it's a provably fair, non-random mechanics where people can gain 1,000x return by actively playing these board games. I don't
just strategizing.
Exactly. I don't really want.
So it's more like a raffle ticket then.
It doesn't include any randomness. That's the beauty of it.
Right, but it's still like a raffle ticket essentially. Like you're purchasing a chance to win.
Yeah, but without randomness. So
right.
The right strategy, you are almost guaranteed to win on the long run.
Okay. But so over time, applying a strategy.
But your strategy
That's interesting.
Depends on the strategy of others. So there is no one single strategy, but it's always different.
I will tell you what, Koma, this is the coolest little side game I've seen a Tomb Fork come up with. I'm still concerned about the volume it'll generate, right?
Exactly.
This is one piece of the puzzle. What else do you guys have for creating buy pressure? Because we all know,
I'm
like,
glad you asked.
supply is one thing, right? Like, hang on, let me finish. So supply is one thing. It's easy to fucking burn and get rid of tokens or whatever, but to create buy pressure, right? That's what I'm talking about specifically. In addition.
Okay, so this is why I don't want to spend too much time on KOC, because we have other things coming up still in August under development. One of them is Gladiator camps. Gladiator camps are very similar to how people perceive nodes. So they will be the backbone of the even further in September upcoming NFT PvP game that we have. And these camps will provide you, they will have a similar mechanism that nodes do, so people can relate. But on top of that, they will provide might to the gladiators. And they will be set up on a 200 by 200 map. And these camps with the gladiators inside will battle each other. And these will...
Whoa. What? All right. So my node is a soldier, or it's an army, or
It's a camp.
okay. I want to know how this works. So you're purchasing a camp, and it generates resources or some shit, and then you get the gladiators. You mint the gladiators with the resources from this or some shit.
Okay, so let's take a step back and focus on...
Fuck me up. Hit me with it.
So focus on the gladiators and the emperors a little bit. So just like wolves and sheep, we have emperors and gladiators. Emperors are kind of the wolves, gladiators are kind of the sheep, and they battle. I'm not sure whether there is another DeFi protocol that has these mechanisms, and I think I will drop this alpha in this AMA for the first time. NFTs will be upgradable. So if you mint a gladiator and you don't like that it doesn't have a helmet, you can go ahead and fucking purchase a helmet for it and upgrade and enchant that helmet to have greater abilities to the strength, agility, dexterity, or whatever characteristics of your gladiator. So your gladiator will become a character for you in the game that you can upgrade to whatever, how to call it, skill set or equipment you want using our token.
The people want to know, Coma, is this like a simplified, like, Clash of Clans, like very minimal type thing?
I have never played Clash of Clans, so maybe live. Have you?
I think I'm roughly familiar, and I'd say yes, this would be a very simplified version of that, using all the mechanisms to create buy pressure. Yes.
Right. So so we've seen an ohm fork create nodes to try to create buy pressure and counteract their dilution. Haven't seen this in the tomb fork. I like it. I just, yeah. Go on.
So with a basic just copy-paste tomb fork, I don't think it would work, but since we have the NFTs, I believe that the synergetic aspect of it will kick in once you combine these 3, 4, 5 mechanics that we are developing and that we are going to put out in the following 2, let's say 1 and 2 months. What else should I explain in detail? What did I miss? I think I missed something. Live or JPEG?
Yeah, if I may. So basically, the whole idea is that, yeah, we start with the NFTs being, the main point. That's how the only way you get the first share token that gets dispersed out. And then
which NFT?
The starting NFTs. So that will be the
base camp.
No. The camps come later. So at the very start, day one, we have the NFT mint. Okay. All
Okay.
those NFTs that get minted will get a fractionalized portion of the first share token. That's going to be the only way to get it. And then we have our Genesis to support the peg side of the protocol. Then after, we say we release camps first, I don't know the development chain of that. That is more on what Decoded comes out with at a time, but I'm just using this so you can more paint a picture visually. Okay. So camps come out so you can interact with the camps with your NFT basically and create like your little army sort of deal. And then, say we release the PvP side of it, then people will want to upgrade the NFT so they can battle and get different traits and things like that. So there'll be a very, methodical placement of, okay, this came out. This is a new exciting way to interact and use and burn up some of the peg tokens. So that way it creates buy pressure and controls the supply at the same time. And then we release the next stage sort of deal. So that way it doesn't just stagnate and fall.
If I may, I really think it's going to be really important the order that all this stuff happens. You guys got to be very careful. I think what I heard in the beginning made a lot more sense. Well, the order anyway of having the camps first be the first mint. I'm only saying that because your buy pressure, people are gonna be able to create many gladiators, right? Or many gladiators, right?
We
Like
have
that's
a
the
fixed limited supply of 10,000 NFTs in the beginning. So only 10,000 is the...
Of Gen Z.
So right, so there's 5 phases or whatever, just like the Wolf game, and then
No, just one.
just one mint phase.
Yeah, be super cheap.
Oh, now you're really fucking me up. Okay, can you explain?
So yeah, there is one mint phase. The average price of the Gladiator will be around $30-ish, and they will be the ones producing 100% of the initial Glad share, our share token allocation. And also later on, they will be able to stake for either Glad share or Glad itself, kind of like in a boardroom. But Live can talk more about it if more details are needed about the emissions and tokenomics.
Yeah, we would love all the details because it's it's complicated stuff, and while you guys have all of the pieces, like it seems like you have all the pieces here to kind of make this work at least for like it seems sustainable up to a certain point. I'm not sure where the crack may be, but it's going to be up to you guys to find the cracks and patch them up before it goes south. But I mean, my point is that it seems like you have all the elements, but executing them in the correct order and the correct speed and all those things, execution is key here.
Yeah, it is.
So very, very interested to see how it pans out.
It's very important what you said, the speed by which we will put it out. So you know that we've been working on it for months now, and what we have, the roadmap, what we have is on the first, let's say, week, we put out the basic protocol, the NFT minting, then the Genesis pools, then the arena boardroom, whatever. And then the next week we put out the King of the Colosseum type mechanics for the Glad and the Glad share tokens. And the week after that already, the camps appear. So it's like people will have no time to sell because every day or 2 days there will be something tiny new happening, and every week and 2 weeks there will be something big happening.
Yeah, I think that's also important, marketing and just exposure, constantly shipping updates, constantly having announcements. That stuff will help. It always does. But the other thing you're running into here is the state of the market. What do you guys feel about your timing for launch? It's a bit of an awkward time. Most people are expecting another leg down coming up real soon here in the market, like a major leg down. What do you guys think about that?
So first of all, we are obviously in a terrible bear market comparing the prices of tokens to the prices where they were not even a year ago. And so this is one good thing, because when the next bull run comes, we are obviously going to go way up from here. That's kind of undebated among people who are actively participating in DeFi and crypto. We don't know when, but it's coming. And then with Life, we have designed the tokenomics in a way that it's red candle and bear resistant, and I will let him talk more about it. Mike is muted.
Yeah, so yeah, sorry. I was going to respond to a question there, but I flipped back over. So the tokenomics are designed in a way, if we were to stagnate or stall sort of deal, that we, like I said before, we don't end up overprinting and overextending that event within the protocol. And as I said, it's basically coded in, so it's trustless. It happens automatically. We do this by essentially using the and correct me if I'm wrong, Decoded, because I'm not the dev on this side, but the way I envision this working, and I'm pretty sure he's coded it, is basically we use the Oracle to kind of keep an eye on the TWAP of the protocol, right? But we use this to help create a modifier that will help slow down the rate in which we print out new supply of the token if we were to stagnate. So this way, if we start to see that downward leg during the time of the protocol, we will in turn basically automatically slow down the supply at that point in time. So we don't, print a bunch more while the market is dumping on us. It would just, compound the problem.
Right. Okay.
Pretty correct, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that most protocols that continue to build with decent tokenomics through bear season and through this next leg down and the rebound and through the chop and on the way back up, they will be heavily rewarded. But you guys are going to deal with the challenge of keeping a very fickle type of community together, and focused on your project, engage with your project, utilizing your project to help it sustain, and then come out on the other end. Because I'm telling you what, there's going to be a lot of projects that get chewed up and fucking spit out, over the next couple months. It's already been happening, So, yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but I believe that if you guys stick with it, it's possible. So, you guys seem to have a talented dev. Coma's a well experienced, level-headed leader, and I think that you guys are in a good position if you guys continue to work things out and continue to tackle problems as you go. But yeah, it will be a challenge. I'm telling you right now. But let me get to one more question I had. What was it? I forgot. Oh, okay. Treasury Management. Who's managing the Treasury? Have you guys discussed?
Oh yeah, we have a
Hang on. Have you discussed taking profit on share tokens to use for buybacks, like selling on giant green candles to buy back on red candles when whales leave the protocol, things like that?
Yes.
This way you're able to amass a treasury over time.
Okay, so the first thing that everyone must know is that we have a multi-sig setup in a way that no one can single-handedly take any money out of the protocol or hurt it in any way. So our multi-sig is incredibly secure, tight, and we have a lot of big names on it as well on the community side. And to answer your question in detail, for example, whales dumping and so on, we will have an arbitrage bot ready to suck up any of these candles and keep the profit to the treasury, so our users don't get hurt in the way. I think this was your question. Let me know if I missed any points.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Is that the other thing that I've seen to really help Tomb Forks is really good management of the treasury.
Yes.
Proper profit taking on huge pumps, and I'm not talking kill the pump, but 1%, 2% price impact sells on a solid pump that goes 100%. You can make a couple decent sized sales, and you're building treasury as it goes. And then on the way down, when it bottoms and hits support, you buy back a little bit and engage the pump, create some energy. It's a really strong thing and a good tool for the protocol. It really puts you in a stronger position. So if you did not have plans to do all those things, make sure you do. But yeah, it sounds like you're on the right path.
We do have plans for this on many levels. We have discussed this weeks back, and we are keeping these discussions in a docs, writing up every plan and strategy that we plan to make, either in a trustless way or by the multisig, how the team decides. And also another very important thing that I must mention is that unlike traditional Tomb Forks having 10 to 20% allocation of the share token, we only assign a modest 2.5% to the team.
Good. That's good. It's a pretty small number. So we like to hear. And I was gonna get to that. Like, what is the team allocation? How are you guys gonna be taking payments? So it's gonna be distributed through fees and through the sales of the share token over time.
What's your exact question?
Team payments are going to be coming from share token sales and fees generated.
Yeah, someone has asked this, and we were surprised on how many lakhs the protocol is standing. So just what I said earlier, the arbitrage bot is one, then this tiny allocation of share tokens go to the treasury, and from that to the treasury, and from that a tiny portion to the team. Also with emissions and the NFTs, and then with the camps, and then with the upgrades, and then with the maintenance, and so on. So we take a tiny, sometimes fraction of a percent from many fronts to keep the health of the protocol and the team interested and grow.
Right. Good. Good. As long I know you know what it takes to sustain a project, and it may mean nobody's taking payments for the first couple weeks or whatever it is. It's good. All right, so I'm gonna now start hitting up these community questions, everybody. I am done with my grill and chill session. So from Pro Getheus, similar to Hamster of Opera. Okay, never mind. I already asked that. Oh man, Suki. There's a lot of information that is confusing. What will your approach be to educate people to the multitude of options to interact with your protocol? Let's say people don't know anything about Tomb Forks or nodes or Wolf games. How do you get them in and knowing what to do other than joining your Discord and saying, hey, WTF?
Okay, JPEG?
I can put here, we made sure to have a person that writes Medium articles for us. That it's Stalker. He's on our team as well. He is an English teacher from the East Coast, I believe. So and Degen by himself. So he wrote this beautiful Medium articles that it's 5 in a number. So this explained quite well to a Degen and to a non-Degen. For example, somebody that comes from Wolf game and saw this on Twitter. So like, okay, I only played Wolf games, but fork, what is this? So we try to highlight this and educate in our Medium articles what we're trying to do here. Because yes, I agree, it's a mouthful, right? It's definitely something else that we're creating here. But once you wrap your head around it, it's your jaw drops a little bit more. That's the good part about it. I dropped the Medium articles, by the way, in the AMA chat and in the AMA questions chat, so feel free to browse around. It's like a 25-minute read, and it should answer most of the questions that you have right now in your head.
A tiny addition to this, Storker is not only a degen, but he was also involved in Hive investments on the Polygon net. Former, maybe you heard about that. They raised $6 million still in the bear market.
Nice. I'd like to ask also, do you have any plans for educational things baked into the website? Like tooltips and maybe a help section or a how-to or a FAQ section?
Yes, definitely. I'm talking right now with Cardinal House as well, because I don't know if you know, Cardinal House have a beautiful section for educational parts that they offer free to the community, and we work with them to find a good solution where we have like an onboarding with small videos and everything that makes it way easier for people to come on board.
Yeah. Might I recommend like a strategy tab where you can have a really cool walkthrough, gamified little tutorial for people and how to like get engaged and profit.
What we have now is the
Very cool.
tooltips, and what we planned is short educational demonstrating videos on what to do. But what you recommended, this gamified walkthrough, I actually like that idea. I will wrap my mind around it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. It doesn't have to be gamified necessarily, but like a little roadmap of how to profit with a little character on the map, and each step is a different different thing, and there's camps or some shit. You can integrate all your graphics and stuff into the tutorial for them or whatever. It would be kind of cool. But yeah, just like a simple walkthrough, just so people kind of know how to navigate, would be very helpful. I think at a glance, right? Like a nice PDF or some shit.
Certainly.
All right, moving on. Muzz asks, how will you maintain liquidity if people can just stake NFTs to print share tokens?
It's a question for life.
It's kind of a loaded question, to be fair, so it's broad.
Yeah, so essentially is we do plan to supply some liquidity to our PEG token, but we are starting off the share token purposefully at a very, very low percent, so that way people can't just basically only mint the NFT and just drain the share, right? There will have to be, community build of this liquidity as well. So they will basically have to be a good arbiter in order to make their own profit, sort of deal. Whereas if we've seen failures of other protocols that they just throw some liquidity in there and have it open, and it just basically gets farmed out, and nobody is a good arbiter of it. They just basically take the profit and run, smash and grab, as I like to call it. So it will have to be. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, from your mint proceeds, where's that gonna go? What percentage of that goes to liquidity? I'm sure it's in the docs, but if we could just review that.
Koma, you were working on adjusting this earlier.
Can you repeat the exact question?
And which pools? Which pools? Like, how much is gonna go to initial share token liquidity? How many? Okay, so tokenomics matter. Yeah. This release schedule matters, right? So how many share tokens are going to be created or minted when you guys first launch the pool, and how many are going to be added with the liquidity, and what's the liquidity that you're going to be adding with it? Yeah. Because we've seen protocols that launch with a larger circulating amount of share tokens and more liquidity do much better for sustainability, at least through the early times of the protocol.
So the first share token allocation is the one Glad share. That will be the first one. And on top of that, we will add 0.000000017 zeros and 1, so the smallest possible allocation to create the pair. Because we don't want any sniper bot to gulp up any of the share tokens that that literally don't exist,
But you can't listen. The issue this is the problem. This is the opposite of the solution because people will still buy it, and the price will go to $1 million fucking dollars.
There is nothing to buy. That's the point.
The price, yeah, but they will. They'll buy 0.0005,
No, it's
and
not.
the price will go to $1 million or $100,000.
It literally cannot be broken down into a smaller piece of a coin. So this is why it's impossible to buy it unless liquidity is added. And by the time people will add the liquidity and also from the treasury, but Live has a 5-day plan for it actually. And this is why we also have the ARB bot. So the price won't skyrocket, but it will be. By that time, the Glad AVAX pool will have healthy liquidity, and the ARB bot will be.
The ARB bot needs tokens, though. The ARB bot needs tokens to make that happen.
Exactly. So if one pool flies off, the ARB bot just does a circle.
This is scaring me. This is like the opposite of what I advise protocols to do. Go on. Life was gonna say something, I think.
Yeah, so basically, are you asking the total allocation, or can you be more clear about what exactly you're trying to get down to?
Everything. How many tokens? Where are they? How many are getting added with liquidity? How many are in the ARB bot? How many are in the treasury?
Then I misunderstood your question.
Okay.
Totally. I thought you were talking about the initial, like second zero.
Well, initial liquidity is very important.
Exactly.
That's why I was talking about that. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Like I said, we generally.
Yeah. Okay.
We want protocols to have more share tokens in existence, so people cannot corner that share token because there's substantial liquidity added and a decent amount of tokens added to where they can't whale it. So I mean that's that's what we've seen be successful in the past. This could work if people can't buy it and then all of a sudden there's a rush to it's going to be an interesting thing, but you're going to see an unsustainable crazy pump and dump, right? And there's going to be some guy in your fucking general chat who wants a refund.
I totally misunderstood you. Okay, so let's start in the beginning with what tokens we have and how much the supply and whatever. So we have Glad, which is the PEG token. We have Glad which is the share token. There is a total of 50,000 Glad PEG token distributed into several different pools. So there will be put in some around almost 8,000 into the initial liquidity provided through a certain period of time, depending again on the factors that affect the existing pool.
Which token are you talking about?
Token. Now.
Okay, I was talking about the share token specifically. Okay. So the biggest PEG token, fine. It's pretty standard. Not too worried about that. The share token release and emission schedule is the most critical thing for sustainability of the protocol.
Of course.
I agree. So most traditional like tomb forks and whatnot have something around 80,000, 90,000 shares. And what you tend to see is with that supply being out, they can potentially, own a good enough portion of the PEG token to basically
not circulating. You're talking about the share token?
I am talking about the share. That was your question, correct?
Yeah. But that's not circulating in the beginning.
Correct. I guess I'm trying to explain the full overview so that way it can be looped back for better understanding. So maybe just ask a direct question. I'll just give a direct answer.
Well, I would love for you to just walk through your emissions and why you feel like it's a good idea.
Okay. So the total overall that we will have for share tokens is 50,000. That is it. We are limiting that supply to make it more scarce. The initial allocation that gets put out on when we do the first mint, the mint, it will be one Glad share only. So the one Glad share will then be broken up based off the emperors and gladiators, as we've explained, that gladiators basically get the gamified advantage. Emperors get the gamified advantage over the gladiators. And then when the after the genesis is done, we will open up the liquidity pools, of course. The liquidity pools will have, for the Glad AVAX, we'll have around 12,000 Glad share available to be farmed. So that way you have to support the peg to basically get a bigger allocation of the share token. The share token itself will have, it's like 8,999, so it's real close to 9,000.
Real quick. While we're here, now when the LP goes live, how many share tokens are in the RBot? How many are being paired with liquidity by the team?
So the RBot is going to be based off of what we get in the 1%, because we are charging a 1% on all of them, and we're taking that fee that we get directly from the share and the peg tokens, and we are using that to put in the RBot. So
you're not allocating tokens to the RBot. You're sending fees to the RBot.
Correct.
So that's going to take a month to be relevant.
Correct,
Maybe.
because we shouldn't have a bunch of need for the RBot right off the bat, because the actual pairing is not going to be released until later. So the pairing is of the Glad share and Glad is not going to be done immediately. It won't be available during Genesis. It won't be available during the start of these liquidity pools. It will come a day or so after that. So it gives us time to build up those fees and then supply it to the RBot to make it, function when it makes sense. Because early on, there won't be much interaction of that, that we will need to do anyways.
You won't have enough liquidity. It was mentioned as a potential solution to the launch problem, so I was confused. So how many tokens are being added to liquidity, and how much of your guys' mint funds are going to the liquidity?
The mint funds is the one thing that I am not in control of, so I'll leave that to Coma. But as far as initial liquidity that we are supplying onto Glad share or Glad, or both.
I need to know both, preferably. Okay. I think he said 8,000 of the peg tokens, so 8,000 Glad paired with how much USDC or how much Avalanche, or and then how much of the share token plus how much USDC is going to be added at initial. I feel like it's taking a long time to get this answer.
Yeah, sorry. So the AVAX is what we are pegged to at a 1 to 10 ratio. So there'll be basically 10 Glad should be the equivalent of 1 AVAX. So there'll be a total of 780.1 over the course of time that gets added to Glad. That way we have proper good starting liquidity to support the peg. The Glad share, as was answered by Coma and maybe was misunderstood, will be the smallest possible fractionalized bit of a Glad share that is provided for liquidity on that. So that way it can build more naturally. That way the initial NFT minters can't just basically mint and then cash out right away, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that was my concern, is that was so I was understanding correctly. So basically, once the LP launches, it's going to be a fucking mad dash, and there's going to be a major pump and dump that happens on the share token. So that creates scary, that's not really a profit point anymore for people. They have to sit by and watch other people get wrecked and then buy the blood, I don't know if I like that design, but
I mean, to be fair, some of that's speculative, right? I mean, we can never predict what the community.
I've done this 100 times, bro. It's gonna pump and then dump. It's not opinion. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. If there was some other possibility, I mean, yeah, I really don't see what changes that here. Feel free to shoot me down, but I mean,
I'm just like the scenario is that we have distributed the Gladiator token among, let's say, 5,000 people. This probably fair way. They all have the share token and they can decide what to do with it. Either to cash out with a potentially higher price impact, LP it up, zap it, stake it, or just single stake it and earn more glad. I'm not sure I see where the pump part from your pump and dump would come if the liquidity is initially low and it would, as Live said, build itself over the course of hours and days. Because this is exactly what we are trying to avoid, that we put the share token in the LP, then some bot goes and sucks it up. We have seen that happen and it was never good for the protocol. Or a whale comes and buys more than half of the protocol. Another distributory method that we have seen is that it gets distributed to friends and active Discord members and a private sale and so on and so forth. And that goes against the decentralized part, or the trustlessly decentralized part, so to say.
well, okay, I get it, but I mean, is it better to stabilize things with a group of good actors who have the protocol's intentions, or the best intentions in mind? It's up for debate, I suppose, but I think that ultimately the issue you're going to run into, I'll tell you right now, is that you're going to add liquidity. You're not adding liquidity, I should say. You're adding the smallest amount of the share tokens, so the liquidity pool, the token pair is created. Your contracts are public. Everybody's going to have it. Bots are going to have it. They're going to snipe the fuck out of your share token as soon as somebody adds liquidity. Okay? You're not going to prevent it unless you really, really focus on it. And then it just creates this situation where as soon as the price pumps 4 or 5x, somebody has a shitload of tokens, or however many they sniped, and they're just dumping on you guys. It's very, very
the only way
easy to do that. So that would be my primary concern.
Like no one has such a big no one can have such a big allocation that it causes a big red candle. That's the point.
Well, everybody's going to be adding liquidity at the same time, and there's going to be no buy pressure for a minute until liquidity is added, right? So as this happens, everybody's going to be racing to get those APRs. It's just going to be...
Exactly. They will buy, and if they also sell them, basically one was bought and one was sold. So ceteris paribus, we should be at the same level short run.
All right. I'm not here to tell you how to run things. I'm just trying to share what I have seen and the issues that have ensued, and usually it leads to a very unsustainable outcome. But hopefully you can get some natural price growth, natural liquidity growth, and find a price where it stabilizes and not too many people get shitted on on that first day. First 2 days is where it happens usually, is that first entry, massive correction, after emissions start. So that would be the thing to watch. Who knows? Maybe you broke the system and just steady price appreciation and liquidity growth. But that's probably a dream at this point with the way the markets are. As we start to close this off, do you mind just sharing for me your thoughts on pegging to Avalanche instead of USDC?
Yeah, we got that question earlier. So basically what we had in mind during the bear market is that people have already DCA'd into AVAX and probably on the long run looking for a hefty price appreciation of that. Whereas if we back to USDC, they won't get that price appreciation with our token either. Technically, it shouldn't make big of a difference. On market conditions, I think for the investors, it gives an edge compared to a stable.
All right. Well, guys, you guys have any closing things you want to say? Anything to wrap this up? Anything you want to say to the people?
Basically, what Muse was asking is that only the NFTs get the share token allocation. So if you want to get the share token like days before anyone else, that's the way to go with the NFTs.
I'm not sure if I was clear on that because he is saying like, why would he mint an NFT if I can just buy the share tokens and be liquid and not be locked in? What are you saying?
At that time, you cannot buy the share token. So the initial share token is distributed.
He's saying just wait. He's saying why not just wait until it hits the market and buy the share token?
They can do that.
Because it seems like it's a very small amount of share. How many shares going to the NFT holders? I think this is his concern.
10% of the initial share token.
So it's like one token split across them all?
Yep.
And how many tokens are emitted per day for that pool?
It's game theory because it also like you can stake the NFTs for both Gladiator and Glad, and depending on for what token you stake it, the other pool gets a larger allocation, so to say, from the other coin. It's a constant moving game theory.
Right. Yeah. So, but we need some sort of number here, like.
Yeah, so you're asking after the initial allocation? So when we get into the liquidity providing?
Yeah, he's how much is printed per epoch?
Not per epoch. In the share token LP, how much share token is being printed per day? You're giving a fraction of one token to all the NFT minters, and then you're gonna print 100 fucking tokens, and they're gonna be diluted like crazy. What's the point?
The NFTs can be still staked, so they function like LP tokens as well afterwards. So it's not all their utility. That must be kept in mind.
Right, I get that, but I mean, just that number alone is like bad to me. So it's what's the yield? So the USD value that's given to them is equal to the Avalanche value they paid for the NFT. So when they stake it, it's like staking, let's say it was a $200 NFT. Then they would get $200 in liquidity staked. Or a perceived $200 in liquidity in order to receive yield, right? You have to have a weight applied to the NFT, I'm assuming.
So maybe I can dispel this concern because I think you guys think that once the initial NFT staking is done, that is just the first pool. It's kind of like having the genesis for the NFTs. If you were to think about it now.
I know that, but it's the share token genesis, right? Is what you're saying, essentially.
Correct. And then afterwards, the NFTs will get a higher allocation still after the fact.
I get it. What I'm saying is they're getting a portion of a share token beforehand to add liquidity to get shitted on by everybody else who's going to begin farming in the LP. I just don't understand where this is sustainable or where it even makes sense. The shared token is going to start printing how many tokens per day from the share token LP?
So that was you're talking about the Glad share AVAX LP, correct?
Yeah, the share token LP.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're talking apples to apples here. So 1080 per day. it should print 8.33 a day.
Okay.
Across the entire.
Across the whole, both LPs?
Across slow. Only the share token. You said the share token LP. That is 8.33 a day.
And I'm assuming that the PEG token LP is like twice that or something.
It is higher. Yes, it is at 12,000. So if you break it down by epoch, give me 1 second here, or the days. I'm sorry, the emission schedule.
That's fine. It's about 2x or so.
And then the NFTs actually get a higher allocation than that.
The NFTs are the kings.
So the NFT pool gets more emissions, but my next question was, what is the value attached, the perceived value attached to those NFTs for the staking pool? Does that make sense?
Staking pool.
When you stake your NFTs to earn share tokens, how do you gauge the value of the NFT? And if I pay $150 for my NFT, am I getting $150 in staking weight? That's what I'm asking.
In the first couple of days only. Or
how does that make sense?
This is exactly where I don't understand your question. So you're asking the return on investment.
So listen, let me explain the mechanism. When you stake an NFT, there has to be a value in the metadata that tells you the value of the NFT, so you know how much allocation of that pool that person is supposed to be getting. That makes sense?
Are we talking about the initial or later one? Confused, sorry.
We're talking about staking an NFT. This is a simple, this is how it works, right? You have a value in the metadata that says this is worth this much, so that when you have 20 of them in the pool, you know how much each person gets.
No, it totally depends on how many people stake how many NFTs.
It can also be designed differently, but generally, yeah, you're right. It's diluted the more people. That's what I'm talking about. But if you don't have a value, then it could just be a 1, if that makes sense. But you have to have a way to allocate the tokens, to distribute them, and determine who gets what. That's all I was asking.
Yes, if me and you, we both stake, now you get half, I get half. But
Okay,
so basic. And it depends on how fast the first generation will be minted out.
Okay.
How much will actually get into the pool during the first 3 days. Hopefully all of them.
So it's just based off of the NFT. There's no perceived value attached to USD or anything.
No perceived value of USD to the NFT. It depends on the amount that is staked and the weight that is NFT is holding. Just like with the Wolf game. You remember the alpha score of the Wolf, for example.
Okay, cool. Well, that's fine. That's all good. I'm sorry to dig into the technicals, but I really need answers on some of this stuff if I'm going to be throwing money or if I'm going to be recommending people to throw money.
We didn't answer the question that you wanted to get your answer to, and that's what I feel, and that's what I'm saying about.
No, I did. I got the answer, because all I was wondering was if essentially, because it's hard to attach value. Some people do it differently. It's like your NFT is worth it has an actual USD value attached to it, or a token value, right? Where if it because initially I thought that you were staking your NFT into the same pool as like everybody, I don't know, into a liquidity pool, whereas your NFT is worth $200 in this pool of $2,000 of NFTs or liquidity, and if you are earning the same as if you if you purchase this for $200, are you earning the same as if you would have purchased $200 of LP in the share token?
Now I
LP,
think
right?
I got your question. Okay, so we have designed the emissions and the tokenomics with the mindset that NFTs are the kings. So the whole protocol is built around these NFT mechanisms and the token itself. So these two are obviously the most important parts. And also we have cleared up the initial pool, and then after that I told you that there is the game theory mechanisms, whether you stake for Glad or Glacier. So NFTs are kind of forever livable, stakeable creatures in this ecosystem. So it's not like after the initial pool they are useless or they decrease in value. They just get a different role in the whole mechanism.
Okay. All right, guys. You have survived the gauntlet.
Also mentioning, you said NFTs worth of 150 or 200. We are aiming for a low 30-ish price of the NFT, so everyone can join, and it's not exclusive. Even though if the person doesn't have the funds that it would require to mint a $200 NFT or 10 of those.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I love shit like this. I'm probably gonna play it just because it sounds fun as fuck. There is gonna definitely be an opportunity to make some money here. I'm not really sure where the profit points are yet because it is a very different rollout. I would advise everybody who's listening, if you are going to partake, be very careful around the launch of the LPs. Proceed with caution and find the profit point. There will be one, but this is a really interesting take on some fun, different DeFi games, and I'm interested, to say the very least.
Thank you. And
if you have more questions, just join our Discord. We will make sure to answer all of your
or
questions.
DM me. I am open to DM to everyone, and I will answer each question. Honestly, educate you guys. Whatever question needs to be asked must be asked. We are very open about it. We are actually we tend to say this, we are a pro FUD team, because you should be feared until you are certain you are not, and all this stuff. So come with the hard questions and expect honest answers from us.
Yeah, and if I may, before we close out here, is, I feel that a lot of this miscommunication is just because we have done things a lot differently than what's traditional, and this is on purpose. So what I've learned from this, even from my standpoint here, is that the education is going to be very, very important. So I will make sure that we have a plan to roll out some proper education procedures on this, so people can grasp the idea that is behind it better.
Yeah, I recommend everybody go check out the documents. Read through. The information is very clear. The documents seem to be very well written. Can you guys please post all of your socials in one message? I will pin it here for people. And yeah, go check out all their educational stuff. Read through the docs if you guys have questions. But I think the docs are well written. It's laid out pretty clearly, and any questions that you may have about the details and specifics should be there.
Okay, I will message this very soon. In the channel of AMA?
In the AMA chat.
I'm on it, Coma.
That way I have it there and I can share it around when people ask.
I'm on it, Coma.
Cool. Well, I'm going to... Oh, do we have some whitelists to give out, you guys?
Definitely. So I was hoping that the community is
whitelist.
going to ask some questions. So let's see who has, if the time is not too much, who has questions. And I think the team of the TulipDAO should decide who is the most active, and that person should get the whitelist.
Does anybody want to come on stage and ask a question? Raise your hand.
And also, the whitelist is purchasable on our website if you miss the opportunity.
Okay. Let me see here. I didn't get to too many community questions. I got most of them though. Euphoria asks, how far ahead have you guys planned with updates? Do you have things scheduled for regular deployment?
As we said, we have...
you have a content map and everything, or?
We have just, last week, started to release the roadmap of ours, and we have planned for August, as I said, the camps, for instance, and the KOC of the coin. After that, in September, the PvP mechanism will come to play, and many more. So yeah, you can expect something new like twice a week.
Great. Yeah, consistent updates is key. Okay. Well, we didn't have too many questions. Got a 50.
There is, Coma, is there any special treatments for Italians from Roma? Jetpacked?
What special treatment do you want, Jet? Or are you even from Rome?
He is. Yes,
Bella
he is.
Italia. Yes, sir.
All right. Suki has a question. Suki, bring it on.
Hello, sirs. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Oh, very good, very good. Hello, friends from Gladiator. I want to ask you a question, please. Do you have any plan to go to another chain? Like you guys are starting on AVAX. Is it the end point, or you are thinking of going to like the Osmosis? What is the name of the other chain? The Echelon, the bullshit chains, like some other chain. I mean, do you have any cross chain plans? That's what I want to ask. I remember there used to be one Tomb Fork, which was called a Repay or something like that. They started out on FTM, then they moved to AVAX. Do you guys have any of do you want to be an immigrant like me?
This is
cross
an
chain.
awesome question, because we have plans to go cross chain in like 2 months time, and we have also a certain idea for a type of bridge that we want to implement, so it also has utility, not just a copy paste on the other chain. If you go to the KOC website, you can probably, this is why you asked, if you click on the top right corner, you can already see that we have already the chain selector there. So we have plans to go cross chain. This is a question that I'm really grateful for, because I forgot to mention it during the AMA.
No problem, sir. I'm always hunting for the green card, so cross chain is always on my mind. So.
Yo,
thank you, Suki.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you.
Damn.
Legend. Non-fungible feminism.
Oh, there will be actually one female gladiator in our set of NFTs, but not too much giveaway from that.
Cool. Sounds great. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for your time today. It was a good chat. We had Life Eternal, JPEG, Crypto Guy, Coma from the DeFi Gladiator team. I am trading tulips, and this was the 26th Investors AMA here at the TulipDAO, where you can get KYCs, you can get grilled on your project, and you can show people that you are worth a shit. Let's go.
Like Gladiator Finance did. Woo! Thank you.
You survived the gauntlet.
Let's go.